Bonjour classe, je voulais vous donner quelques informations sur le passé récent, venir de plus infinitif. So if you look here, I've put the form, okay, of how to make, comment faire le passé récent. Sujet plus venir de plus infinitif. And if you use this formula, you are able to use the past tense. That's something you have just finished. The de is important. Remember, as always, that you may need to change it to de apostrophe depending on the infinitive that follows. So if you look at my examples, regardez bien, je viens d'étudier. Okay, I just studied, I just finished studying. Elle vient de parler à son ami. Okay, she just spoke to her friend. Et puis, les étudiants viennent d'écouter le professeur de français. The students just listen to their French teacher. Okay, so regardez bien avec écouter et étudier parce que ça commence avec un voyelle, c'est des apostrophes. The form is pretty straightforward, very similar to the future proche with aller. Just really remember that you've got to use the de. Okay, so you're going to use this to do your flip grid. Okay, but I also just wanted to touch base with you and just remind you of what we're trying to do here. So now we can talk about the present, maintenant je mange, the near future, je vais manger bientôt, I'm going to eat soon, j'ai faim, and the recent past, je viens de manger, I just ate, je n'ai plus faim, I'm not hungry anymore. Okay? Keep in mind that just like in English, these new tenses or that we're using, the near future and the recent past, are generally used to talk about events that are not too far away from the speaker's perspective. So depending on the context, it could be something that was 5 minutes ago, something that's happening in 5 minutes, or something that's happening next week. It's really kind of a personal perspective on that time difference, just like in English. But this will allow you to communicate about different time periods, which is really more of an advanced function. So I wanted to bring your attention back to your proficiency level document, which hopefully you still have somewhere in your notes, okay? And really look closely at the parrot levels and then survivor. Our goal for finishing French 2 is to meet or exceed novice high. Okay, so that is the top of the parrot level. And that means that sometimes you're going into intermediate low, but you're not able to sustain it, but you're able to sustain performance in novice high. So look at some of those benchmarks for novice high. We've got speaking in phrases, memorize material, asking and giving simple directions, using a couple different verbs, and using those prepositional phrases. Okay, those should all look familiar because we've practiced all of those a lot. I would say the giving simple directions, that's something we're going to work on. We're going to work on more. But you already know how to do the present tense, so that's a pretty easy one to do. But the question words are always really important. So I want you to also think about intermediate low. What does that look like? Look at those functions. We've got speaking in complete sentences, simple conversations, familiar topics, circumlocute. In other words, maybe you don't know all the different tenses and the spellings, but you can communicate. You can get your point across. All right. And then look at that complex detail, opinion, explanation, adverbs. Okay. A lot of you are already using these. So as we're working on this chapter and this distance learning right now, I want you to think about what you can do. You can talk about the present, you can talk about the near future and the recent past. We'll be adding more past tense grammar later on in the trimester. Also, look again at that document. Moving seamlessly between time frames is an advanced level skill. Communication and trying to understand and be understood is always our number one goal. So don't get too hung up on if you forget a de or an ah. It's not the end of the world. And then lastly, remember that you'll always identify something before being able to produce it yourself. So being able to recognize when you hear the past tense or hear someone talking about the near future, you may not be able to say it just yet, but recognizing it is the first step, and that's really great progress. Okay, so go back through, look at the videos, and then do your best to do the flip grid. Okay, bonne chance, au revoir.